Ardon, Susannah Carr, Cometti, and Jeff Newman.
I need time to spend with my wife, who supported me.
Tonight, a free man, Alan Bond, serves just 3.5 years jail for a $1 billion fraud.
Perth storm warning. A massive downpour headed our way.
And a Margaret River surfer survives a shark attack.
You're watching 7 News.
Hello, also tonight, Perth passenger trains crash.
And inside Subi's new super stadium.
But first, Alan Bond is enjoying his freedom tonight. He was released from jail just over an hour ago, thanks to the High Court. Despite a thunderstorm that delayed his departure, Alan Bond was driven out of Carr prison farm to a new life with wife Diana Bliss.
Heading for freedom. The smile was still there, and despite torrential rain, Alan Bond got out of his car to speak his first public words in nearly 4 years.
I feel, it's great to be released, and as I said, I'm not really going to give any press statements or anything like that or any interviews for some time. I need time to spend with my wife, who supported me throughout this ordeal, and my family.
What and how is your health? Like to do, Mr. Bond? How are you going to celebrate? The first couple of things you're going to do.
That's all I'm prepared to say. Thanks very much. I'm sorry you kept me so long.
It was a dramatic exit for Alan Bond, slowed by an extraordinary event. A lightning strike on the prison, which injured several inmates, blew out the power and delayed the processing of Bond's release papers. It was an early start today for those waiting for Carnet's most famous prisoner to be freed by Australia's highest court. The ruling took only minutes. Then came the long process of official paperwork before Alan Bond could be released. Jailed 3 years ago for Australia's biggest ever fraud, siphoning $1,200 million of investors' money into his own private companies, today's win gives the former America's Cup hero parole a year early.
Mr. Bond is now eligible for release, and when released, will look forward to spending time with his wife and family.
And here at their Cottesloe home, 7 News was the first to break the news to Diana Bliss that the appeal was successful. You've heard the news, obviously?
I haven't.
Oh yes, he's been allowed.
Thank you, Alice. I can't believe I heard it from you.
Soon after, Diana Bliss headed off to Carnet.
Good morning.
We've been answered. Thank you, Alison.
Can we
I'm
speak to
very
you?
happy. Thank you.
Supporters were also smiling.
I think he's done his time, and I think he deserves to be able to get his feet on the beach.
Others weren't so happy with today's ruling that Commonwealth prosecutors, who successfully lengthened Bond's initial 3-year jail term to 7 years, exceeded their powers because Bond's crimes were state ones.
I'm certainly upset that a person who has got off on a technicality, and that's all it is a technicality, not the merits at all.
And there could still be another appeal about today's appeal.
Well, if I'm granted the capacity to lodge an appeal now 3 years after the original sentence, I'll then obviously lodge an appeal and seek to persuade the Court of Criminal Appeal that the original sentence was too low and seek to impose a more appropriate sentence.
Bond biographer Paul Barry calculated Bond had served 1 day in jail for every $1 million he stole.
Had he been in the Northern Territory and sentenced in the same way as the guy who stole $23 worth of biscuits and cordial, he'd actually have been in for 500 million years. So he's been pretty lucky to get out after 3.5.
Alison Fan, 7 News.
Behind Alan Bond's jailing and freedom is a story of financial heartache. Investors in a company called Bell Resources lost their life savings when corporate raiders swept in and took over their company.
As the gates of Carnet Prison Farm shut behind Alan Bond, closing too was just the latest chapter in a criminal saga. Stripping Bell Resources of more than $1 billion, Bond enjoyed a life of luxury. Shareholders, mums and dads, saving for retirement, lost everything.
It's very hard to see them all, but if you could put them all in a football stadium, you get an idea of the damage done by a man who stole the money, bought his popularity with stolen money, and now will build his next business career off the proceeds of that stolen money.
Much of the money has never been found, lost in a complex corporate maze. Tim Phillips led a 4-year investigation costing millions of dollars to follow paper trails that simply went nowhere.
Disappointment and frustration. It was a big effort, not just by me but by the whole team, which numbered over 20 people.
He says we're too soft on white-collar criminals who steal billions of dollars every year in Australia because there are seemingly no individual victims, no injuries, no scars.
When someone's lost all of their life savings in a fraud, that's just as harmful, if not more.
So will he be remembered as Australia's biggest thief or the bloke Perth knew as Bondy?
I think he's done his time.
Okay.
I really think he's a decent bloke inside his heart.
I think he did a great deal for the state. All right, he lined his own pockets, but don't a great many of them.
Life will go on as if nothing has happened, and his years in jail he'll wear with a badge of honour.
And the ex-shareholders of Bell Resources
Can whistle in the wind.
We give him a discount for winning the boat race, you see.
Paul Caddack, 7 News.
And in Today Tonight, straight after the news, where has all the money gone? And what about life now for Alan Bond?
Perth is on thunderstorm alert tonight as the remains of Cyclone Steve lash the south of our state. The entire metro area is being warned to expect severe weather with the possibility of hail, flash flooding and strong winds.
In his 40 years at WA's Weather Bureau, Len Broadbridge has never seen anything like it.
To see a cyclone travel something like 5,000 kilometres over a 2-week period, it's a milestone event.
Cyclone Steve first came to life off far north Queensland a fortnight ago. It travelled across the Northern Territory and curved around WA, finally losing strength today as it crossed north of Carnarvon. Now the south of the state and Perth is facing a severe front, drenching rain and the threat of flash floods. This advice tonight for flood precautions from the State Emergency Service. Clean gutters and downpipes, move cars and equipment to high ground, raise electrical equipment off the ground and keep children away from drains.
If the rains get heavy, there will be localised flooding.
The Weather Bureau predicts heavy falls in Perth over the next 3 days, but worse could be in store for the wheat belt with torrential downpours forecast. It's the worst possible news for Moora. The town faces the real prospect of a repeat of last year's devastating flood.
The State Emergency Service has met with the Moora Shire Council and we've discussed the emergency flood plans. We are ready and prepared to respond.
Last night, Perth slumbered with an uncomfortable low of 25.3 degrees. At 9 this morning, it was over 31, and it was sticky too, humidity peaking at 81% at 5 this morning. While it will get cooler, the bad news is the humidity will stick around. Miranda Eastman, 7 News.
2 Perth passenger trains have collided while trying to merge on the same track. The crash happened at West Rail's East Perth depot. There were no passengers on board. Both drivers escaped unhurt.
Just a bang, I see the train come up on its side while it's still moving and then go down again.
West Rail says information from a system similar to the black boxes on aircraft will help them work out what went wrong.
Telstra's decision to cut thousands of jobs has caused a political storm. One MP has claimed the move could cost lives, and some members of the National Party are now refusing to consider any further sell-off of the communications giant.
As a result, the double whammy of Telstra's $2 billion profit and plans to shed 10,000 jobs has seen relations between the federal government and its own rural backbenchers get very nasty.
It's only people like Carr who's a national disgrace, who has no respect in this parliament.
That attack came after Queensland National Bob Carr claimed the breakdown of Bush communications could cost lives.
We are reacting with anger because we are worried. I mean, it is literally a matter of life and death.
MPs got a chance to voice that anger during a 2-hour meeting with Telstra boss Ziggy Switkowski. Afterwards, the Telstra boss said most of the jobs to go will be in cities, not the country, and he revealed the government knew of the massive cuts in advance. They were aware ahead of yesterday of our intentions. But the Prime Minister is sticking by his guarantee that services in the country will go up, not down.
To ensure that service provision in the bush by Telstra continued to improve.
That is something that no person in the bush of Australia will believe these days.
And the National Party is now further than ever from supporting any further sale of Telstra. In Canberra, Jeff Bruce, 7 News.
Democrat Senator Andrew Murray has been cleared of an assault charge that could have ended his career. Senator Murray was accused of assaulting school teacher Wendy Marshall after her Great Dane attacked his much smaller dog. A jury took just an hour to find him not guilty. An emotional Senator Murray says he's relieved.
Yes, I mean,
I've had an extraordinary life, frankly, and this has been one of the most stressful things I've ever been through.
A surfer has been attacked by a shark in shallow water at Margaret River. It happened in full view of worried beachgoers at a popular surfing spot. Children were just metres away when the shark bit into the surfer's thigh.
Garth Gibbons' wetsuit probably saved him from a worse bite, the teeth marks evidence of the attack.
I just felt something lash onto my leg, which was so quick as it pulled me down a bit.
The local surfer who shapes boards for a living was with friends at the main break of the Margaret River beach. With salmon in season, shark sightings are not uncommon. Garth was paddling back to sea after catching a wave when the shark struck in about 1.5 metres of water.
I was surprised at how it actually leaped out of the water to grab my leg, and it must have thought I was some sort of food, a seal, I really don't know.
The bite left only grazes on Garth's skin. He considers himself very lucky, but says he will go back in the water. The other attack of the summer was on a swimmer at Sorrento in February. Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Childless couples accused of being selfish. That's next.
And a deadly emergency call.
A shooting massacre. Firefighters and police caught in a bloody trap.
And the big picture inside Subi's new Super Stadium.
Now, in the interest of saving lives on our roads, the WA Police, Next 94.5 and 7 News present tomorrow's official speed camera locations.
The Australian share market lost ground today. The All Ordinaries closing down nearly 22 points. Industrial stocks took the brunt of the losses, down 56 points. The resources sector propped up the market, adding 14 points. The gold price added 67 cents. BHP was the day's high flyer, up 88 cents on the back of stronger oil prices. AMP was also stronger. The Telstras were down on the day. Coles Myer lost 16 cents. Your holiday dollar is buying 61 US cents, just under 39 pence, and $1.25 in New Zealand.
A plea for help tonight from the family of 2 brothers bashed in Northbridge on the weekend. 23-year-old Moa Aisi remains in a critical condition on life support. Moa and his brother David were attacked by a gang at the corner of Rowe and Milligan Streets.
Please come forward. Give any information you know about that to the police.
There were hundreds of people in the area. Few have contacted police.
More anger over the state of Australia's nursing homes. Relatives have clashed with staff in a fiery meeting at a home where patients died. And it's been announced an inquest will be held into the death of one of the patients who was given a kerosene bath.
There were tears at a meeting last night between relatives and management of Queensland's Alchira Park nursing home, where 3 patients died after contracting gangrene, tempers flaring. Relatives blamed the government, with this message for Aged Care Minister Bronwyn Bishop.
Get your finger out and put the money in.
The minister was further embarrassed when it was revealed she'd bungled by asking federal police to examine the death of 84-year-old Antonetta Cucuzella, who died at Victoria's Riverside nursing home only days after being bathed in kerosene. The federal police said Ms Cucuzella's death was outside their jurisdiction. That saw the Victorian coroner call for Mrs Bishop to provide him with all relevant information so that he could launch his own investigation.
It is not proper that all deaths be referred to me any more than the Minister for Health is responsible for deaths in a hospital.
In Canberra, Glenn Milne, 7 News.
On 7's World Watch tonight, another mass shooting in the United States has left 3 people dead and 3 more seriously injured.
Firefighters responding to a call in Memphis were ambushed by a gunman who stepped out of the garage of a burning house and started shooting. 1 firefighter and a police officer were killed. Inside the house, a woman was found dead. The suspect, believed to be an off-duty fireman, was wounded in the shootout with police. Mozambique's devastating flood crisis has now affected 2 million people. Aid is arriving, but not quickly enough. These people are desperate for food, fighting over packets of biscuits. Disease remains the greatest threat, and while the floodwaters are receding, torrential downpours continue. The Indonesian island of Sumatra is battling forest fires again, with officials warning the air quality is reaching emergency levels. The unrelenting heat and smoke from more than 250 fires is producing a thick haze that threatens to drift across to neighbouring Singapore and Malaysia. And a church leader in the UK has caused a stir, describing married couples who choose not to have children as selfish. The Bishop of Rochester says people need to be reminded children are a duty of marriage, not an optional extra. His comments have been widely criticised as outrageous and outdated. Back at home, a new football season has begun, and on Saturday night, a new era here in the West. At a cost of $40 million, Subiaco Oval is now state-of-the-art. The showpiece, a giant screen, and that's where we find Basil Zampoulis.
Yes, Rick, do not adjust your sets at home. What you're looking at is the new giant screen at Subiaco Oval. It costs $3 million and on match days will take 6 full-time staff to operate. It's the jewel in the now complete Subiaco Oval redevelopment. Last night, the legends got their opportunity to have a look at it. And on Saturday night when the Dockers play, first chance for the fans to see this state-of-the-art facility.
Could have been the opera in Italy, an amphitheatre in Greece, but this is the new look Subiaco.
It's all been worthwhile. All the decisions they've made over the last 10 years, this has really made a great stadium for Western Australia.
A black tie function for WA's football elite as Subi strutted its stuff. 5 years in the making, the facelift is complete.
It's a very nice badge, yes. It's changed a lot from when I first came down.
I think it's West Australia's version of the MCG.
And like the famous ground in Melbourne, now Subi has its own giant screen. Every fan in every seat will get scores, stats, replays and the latest information.
The screen itself will actually just add another dimension which has never been experienced in Perth before.
And for one old-timer who last played at Subi 40 years ago, the experience was almost overwhelming.
It's terrific, this. It's terrific. Just have a look at this and it's beautiful.
And it's showtime at Melbourne's Colonial Stadium. The final bill, $460 million. Basil Zampoulis, 7 News.
And these stadiums really are looking terrific, Dennis.
And a footy first in Melbourne, Dennis.
That's right. Carrying on that theme, the first match is underway at Colonial Stadium, plus a new era begins at Subi. A new view of footy in the West as the players hit the big screen. And being bowled over in the cricket. Tonight is selection night for the West Coast Eagles and the Fremantle Dockers, and not too many surprises. The Eagles play the Kangaroos at the MCG tomorrow night, and despite speculation, they've named Glenn Jakovich at centre-half back. A big chance for 20-year-old Chad Fletcher. He'll start on the bench, and good to see Michael Braun proving his fitness. Meanwhile, the Fremantle Dockers will play Geelong on Saturday night, and they have selected 2 first-gamers. Congratulations to Paul Hazelby and Lee Brown. Brendan Fuster has been named at centre-half back, and the Longmuir brothers get their chance to strut their stuff. So, no new faces for the West Coast Eagles. Obviously, Ken Judge is happy to go with experience.
Forget West Coast's pre-season. Their best is still to come. Everyone's fit and everyone's eager for action.
You're playing for keeps now. You know, I played in 2 of the games this year, and I've got to be honest with you. I mean, you play them enough to get through.
So the biggest question still unanswered is who will play where and who will take on the King. Judge has 3 options. He knows Jakovich can do the job, but wants him up forward. Girick has enough agility to mark him at centre-half back, but if Carey floats deep into attack, McIntosh is the man.
I dare say a few of the boys might have new roles, but as far as the regulars go, I think they'll be lining up in their true spots.
Like the Eagles, Freo have their best players available, and don't be surprised if you can't recognise some of the boys. Not only have several had their heads shaved, but there'll be 5 new faces playing against Geelong. Fuster's knee is fine, and the fairy tale for Hazelby and Brown continues. Names like Black, Holland and Carroll not good enough to make the team.
It certainly puts pressure on the boys that have played because they understand the quality of the players that have been left out.
The Dockers confident of a win, but not getting carried away.
Malcolm Blight used to say it's the least important game of the year because whatever happens, you've still got 21 games to go to shape the year.
Lachlan Reid, 7 News.
The AFL's new ground has come to life with Port Adelaide playing Essendon tonight. It's the first match at Colonial Stadium, which even features television screens in the back of luxury seats.
Even as the opening acts were warming up, the last-minute touches were being applied to football's newest home ground.
The Australian Football League welcomes you to Colonial Stadium, the new home of football and the new home of the Seven Network.
Actually, it's not quite finished, but it won't matter. A near-capacity crowd has flocked to the stadium, and the groundsmen have performed miracles. 6 months' work in just 8 weeks. Channel 7's cameras are in place and also wired up members of the exclusive Medallion Club with their own monitors. Last night at the MCG, Richmond hung on by 2 points to win a thriller against Melbourne. The Tigers were kept goalless in the last quarter. David Loudon, 7 News.
The Western Warriors have been frustrated late on the opening day of their Pura Milk Cup match against New South Wales. At one stage, the Blues were 5 for 112, but Haddon and Clark able to add 93 up until stumps. Of course, this is WA's last match. The world's best drivers are promising a classic opening to the season in Sunday's Australian Formula One Grand Prix. Defending world champion Mika Häkkinen's highly fancied, but Germany's Michael Schumacher says his Ferrari will be red hot.
The V8's had the crowds rolling up to the Albert Park circuit, but it's these men everyone are waiting to see, and world champion Mika Häkkinen is looking to become the first person since the immortal Juan Manuel Fangio in the 50s to win 3 consecutive Drivers' Championships. Häkkinen's biggest threat is Germany's Michael Schumacher, who was steering Ferrari to a first-ever championship until a broken leg at Silverstone ended that last season.
I certainly can confirm that we have developed a faster car. And I can share the doubt of McLaren because we don't know where we're going to be in relation to them.
Americans are about to get a taste of our latest Aussie golf sensation. 18-year-old Aaron Baddeley will make his US Tour debut in the Honda Classic starting tomorrow in Miami. And as they say, it's a funny old game, cricket. Just keep your eye on the umpire. Pakistan batsman Saeed Anwar sending umpire Nazir Jr. airborne. The ump more worried about his hat. Believe it or not, despite the helmet, Anwar retired hurt. Bernard Cohen, 7 News.
A fantasy for many sports-playing people. I'll be back with my tips, and Today Tonight, I'll see you then.
Thank you, Dennis. A storm warning for Perth tomorrow. Jeff's weather is next.
Then Powerball, the draw you can't see anywhere else.
Well, that's what the boys from the Weather Bureau are predicting later on this evening. I can't remember a more uncomfortable day weather-wise in Perth, but here's a photo from Mrs Daniel Brain of Beckenham. Unfortunately, we don't know the name of the dog or the young fella there, or the young girl for that matter, but they're having a good time. Minimum 25.3. Wasn't it a terrible night last night? At 4 this morning, our maximum 35.8 at 12:58 this afternoon. Currently 26.1, relative humidity 82%. And the wind southwest at 9 kilometres an hour around the metropolitan area. In the last 6 hours, 2 metres. 2 millimetres have fallen in the metro area. By gee, that'd be something, wouldn't it? And there is a risk of severe thunderstorms during the evening. Driving conditions may be hazardous. Be careful, won't you? Schools Air Watch rainfall reading from Central Midlands Senior High School, and that's to be expected from Moora, just a trace from Les Moody. In WA today, the highest maximum was 38 at Ardon, shared with Cunterden and Hopetown North. The lowest minimum was 14 at Balladonia. Now, the satellite has sent in these series of pictures, and there it is. Steve is no longer a cyclone, but flooding is still a possibility. Heavy falls overnight include 153 at Nyang and 104 at Carnarvon. The synoptic chart, well, Steve is a low pressure system now. It's combining with some middle level activity, moving in a southeasterly direction and taking with it some thunder, some rain and the possibility of some flooding. Eastern states tomorrow, chance of an afternoon storm for Canberra and Sydney. They had 37 millimetres overnight. A storm for Darwin, showers for Brisbane, Cairns and Hobart. And what's left is going to be fine. Boat and surf, a strong wind warning is current for tomorrow. Southerly winds 18 to 23 knots, becoming south-southeast 15 to 20 knots overnight and increasing to 20 to 30 knots tomorrow afternoon. Squalls to 50 knots with thunderstorms. Seas to 2 metres and the swirl at 1.5 metres. The forecast, a road alert and a severe thunderstorm advice is current. Showers and possibility of squally thunderstorm this evening, tending to rain periods overnight and tomorrow. 20 tonight, 27 tomorrow. The fire danger is high and the UV index is extreme, decreasing to moderate. 7-day forecast. The rain should clear by Sunday and fine conditions for early next week with temperatures in the high 20s. There we are. Do drive carefully if you're going out tonight. Powerball time. Lots of luck.
Listen up, Bull. It's time to play hard, play fair, and play ball. Get out there and make someone a winner. It's Lotto time.
G'day, John Deeks here. Welcome along. And 138,000 winners last week, but no one had Division 1. So another week and another jackpot here on Powerball, Australia's biggest jackpotting game. And I guess that you can think of some great reasons for you to become Australia's next multi-millionaire. Count them up. If you have some favourite numbers, I hope they're about to fall. We have a huge total prize pool in excess of $7 million, and that Division 1 is $5 million if won tonight, hopefully by you. Draw number 199. Here's the machine. Let's get underway. Good luck. There they go. Yep, $5 million is up for grabs. That's Division 1 if won by you tonight, or a part thereof. Number 39, our first number down. How you doing tonight? I hope you're well. Yes, no winner for the last couple of weeks in Division 1. Second number down, it's in the 40s, it's number 45. We had 9 Division 3 winners last week sharing over $300,000. Third number on the way down, it's number 8. And 68 Division 3 winners sharing nearly $250,000. Here we go, fourth number, number 32. How's that looking over at your place? Well, we've made 64 lucky people millionaires. 64 people millionaires. Will you be the 65th? Number 13, always a favourite. Number 13 there is our completion of barrel number 1. Let's check that. That's 39, 45, 8, 32 and 13. Draw number 199. We're after $5 million. You'll need this one, though. It's our Powerball. And there she blows. In the 20s, look at this, it's number 26. Number 26 is our Powerball. Let's recap the numbers for draw 199. 39, 45, 8, 32, lucky old number 13, and 26 is the Powerball.
What's my lotto dream? I've learned to sail.
Every time you play Lotto, scratch and win, cash 3 or soccer pools. Western Australia wins in so many ways.
And that's all tonight. We'll have updates later.
Now on Today Tonight, life after jail for Alan Bond. Can he rise again? And shopping for the best mortgage from home.